Okay, hi. For those who don't know me, my name is Ida. I'm from Hong Kong, and I'm a first-year student at Queen's University. So this is my testimony. I was raised in a non-Christian family, so I was never really forced to go to church or anything like that. However, my parents sent me to a Christian school called International Christian School, and so ICS for short. So I attended ICS since pre-kindergarten, so when I was like 4-ish, and I was there my whole life until graduation, so 12th grade. The Bible was introduced to us at a fairly young age, and I still remember back in pre-K, so the little midget Ida, like 4 years old, not being able to eat my snack during snack time because I wasn't able to recite this Bible verse my teacher assigned. So in ICS we'd have chapel every week, Bible class, retreats, but I was kind of a little rebel back then, so I never really paid attention in school. So during chapel, after the worship songs and all, I'd take naps. And I didn't really pay attention in Bible class because it was just a class. And every time after retreat, it'd be kind of like a spiritual high kind of thing. But and everyone would be like super hyped. Yeah, super hyped after we get back. But after a week or so, we'd go back to like a spiritual low. So sorry, I'm not that great at writing, so my writing's kind of like back and forth. So my relationship with my parents isn't as close as I'd like it to be. I'm pretty sure maybe most of you guys can relate, but Asian parents tend to express their love in a different way. That you wouldn't really consider that as love, at least I didn't from my parents. But it was only until now that I realized what my parents had done for me in the past 18 years. But from elementary till high school, I thought my parents hated me. Okay, so my dad would scold me for hours, almost every night at the dinner table. When my mom got home, I thought it'd come to an end, but no, she'd start scolding me and my dad as well. Because we both had really bad temper. So normally at the dinner table I'd hold in my tears until they both finished, and then I'd run into my room and just start bawling. Later on, as I grew a bit older, my parents started getting to larger, huge arguments every day. And it seemed as though like yelling in each other's faces seemed normal. So I thought to myself, there's no love in this family, and home was just a place to eat and sleep. At school, although I'd say I did have many friends, I was often left behind, forgotten when events happened, and I felt really lonely even though I was surrounded by tons of people. I felt really left out and that I didn't belong. And as a result of that, I started abusing myself, kind of like I'd cut myself, I'd just hide in my room and just scratch myself until I got scars or started bleeding, hit things so I get bruises all over. Many nights I'd just cry myself to sleep, and I'd think to myself, no one cares, I'm so lonely, I am nobody, and nothing will ever change, and there's no hope. So I thought more about what it meant to be Christian, what it would look like to follow God, etc., etc. Many of us back in school, myself included, would call ourselves Christians, but our actions and our words would say differently. I lived more myself. I prayed only when I needed God. I read the Bible only so that I could get a good grade on an assignment or for a memory verse quiz. So one summer, one of my friends, he was a Christian. He was pretty like on fire, like yeah, a Christian. He texted me one day and he said to me, he didn't know what the point of Christianity was anymore. Because if he knew his family was going to hell, he'd rather be with them. And yeah, he felt like God chose certain people over others to become Christian or to go to heaven. He also said at school he felt left out, left behind by friends who claimed that they were followers of God, but was yet so exclusive. And I thought to myself, wow, we're going through the same things. But yeah, as I was reading through my text messages with him, I actually told him to stay strong and that God has a plan for everything, even though at that time I had the exact thoughts as he did. And yeah, not long after that, I turned my back against the faith completely. Yeah, so in my junior year in high school, so 11th grade, I got into a relationship, and the start of the relationship was like any other one. We go on dates, hang out at the mall, watch movies together, and whatever people do. Yeah, so like any other healthy relationship, we'd set boundaries. And but at one point, curiosity and temptation got to us. Yeah, it started getting into a very physical relationship. One that wasn't based off of love or whatever that was, but just one that was fulfilling the curious spot in our hearts. Yeah, so I was over at his place one night, and eventually one thing led to another, and that boundary was broken. Yeah, when we realized what we were doing, the both of us kind of froze. We didn't know what to do, and we felt very, very ashamed. Yeah, I remember very specifically as I sat on the bus, at the back of the bus when I was going home, thinking to myself, like, what on earth did I get myself into? But yeah, ever since then, everything started going downhill. What I thought I found joy in this case, this boy, and this relationship was taken away from me. I couldn't tell anyone about it, and I swore to myself no one would ever know except for him and I. Yeah, it was something that it's like it can't be undone, but and yeah, and I knew it was very shameful against God. Yeah, and it become a very dark spot in my life, something that has scarred me. Yeah, but eventually I repressed those thoughts. So it was just like really deep inside my heart. Yeah, I try not to think about it most of the time. And yeah, during that time, I tried looking for joy in other things such as drinking or partying, getting into very unhealthy friendships. I started swearing a lot more because I thought if I did, I'd be able to fit in better. Every night after partying or hanging out with those drinking friends I've made, I'd be in my room just thinking about my purpose in life, thinking about just why God would do these things to me, why He let me go through, just this hard time in life. But God is good and He is sovereign. So during the summer after graduation, I was working at my school summer program, and at that time, one of my teachers at school, he mentioned something about this college fellowship called Summer College Program, so SCP. Yeah, I knew that some of my friends went to this fellowship, and so one day, just randomly, I decided to follow my friend to go check it out. And yeah, it was probably one of the best decisions I've made in my life. Yeah, so there I saw so many Christians were just like on fire for God. And these people are so nice, they're so genuine, and you can just see like God reflected in their lives. On the same day, I met this fourth year that goes to Queen's called Harry, and like any other high schooler going off to university, I had tons of questions. So backtrack a bit. So during that time, I actually had a lot of things I was unsure about. Since I didn't have any family in Toronto, or just like this side of the world, or like I didn't know any or many people in Toronto. I didn't know how I was gonna get around in Toronto, because I planned to stay there a week before coming to Kingston for school. I didn't know who was gonna pick me up from the airport, where I was gonna stay, and just many uncertainties just built up. As I was asking Harry the many questions about Queens, I decided to just mention the problems that I had, not expecting anything in return. So when I finished talking, without hesitation, he said, "Sure, I can help you with that." And I was like, "What? Like, are you for real? Like, I've only known you for like less than an hour, and you don't even know my last name." I was just really shocked by the fact that he was so quick to help. But yeah, God provides. Ever since that day, there are many instances where God was just providing for me. He revealed himself through the people I met, either in that fellowship or just the people he placed around me. At that time I was still pretty shocked by how nice the people at the fellowship were, and how genuinely they act towards one another and to me. It was so different from what I was used to back at school, and I said to myself, wow, like these people are what Christians are supposed to look like, and I want to be more like them. So I remember during Kickoff Friday, the first event in CCF, I walked into the kin building, so the kinesiology building, and there was this overwhelming sense of love and welcome from the upper years. There's just like a wave, like shh. So that night, Galvin was on stage and he was sharing about the theme of the year. I'm sorry if this is wrong because my memory is horrible, but the gospel is the theme of life, just all of life. Yes, okay. And he shared the verse, Isaiah 53:5, which says, "But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed." Knowing that my whole life, knowing the gospel, knowing the Bible stories, for some reason that verse just struck me that day. This Jesus guy died for me, for all the shameful and disgusting things that I've done in the past, all the sins, and the punishment was supposed to be on me, but yet he took the blame. He died for this sinner who is so undeserving for anything. And I've just never felt so much joy. I've never felt so loved, and I've never felt so much comfort in truly knowing who he is. So that night, I was just in my house, kind of. I decided to give my life to Christ. I wanted to be more like him. I wanted to show others his love by loving them and caring for them. I wanted to be closer to him. And I'd have to say throughout this year, God has been showing me his faithfulness in everything, his sovereignty and his love as well. I've been learning daily more and more about him, growing closer to him every day. I have to say this journey hasn't been an easy one. I've been faced with many trials, hardships, and temptations. And to be very honest, I've been struggling with a lot recently. Things from the past, old memories resurfacing, irrational thoughts coming back to me. But although it's like I'm in this little like tug of war kind of thing, knowing that God is faithful and that he would not forsake me, and the other end where Satan's tempting me to doubt God, tempting me to abandon my faith, I know that our Father has already won. So the walk is not easy. And as Christians, we go through a lot of suffering, but I pray that we'll be able to rejoice in our sufferings, to rejoice in the fact that those sufferings will strengthen our hope in Him. We will go through trials and persecution, but I pray that we will be glad that Christ is glorified through that. There is a lot of suffering, but yet there's so much joy in knowing Him and knowing our Father. To end off, I just want to remind everybody, whether you're a Christian or not, that God is there, and He is always there, not any further than our right hand. He will not forsake us, and He will always be there to listen to our cries. He is the Lord of all. Thank you.